Hello everyone and welcome along to live coverage of round number 4 of the Inside Line Racing League season here on Xbox. It's the Spanish Grand Prix. It should be a cracker. The first race of the European season in this short season in ILR, this 11 race season. I'm Ginger Andy, and once again joining me in the commentary box we have got James. And James, this should be another fine race. The championship standings really hotting up in this season, aren't they?
It absolutely is. It's as tight as anything at the top of the championship at this stage of proceedings, and we've seen some fantastic action the first 3 Grand Prix, and I expect to see a similar fight here in Spain. As the stat once was said at the start of the season, there will be 5 different winners in this ILR season. I predicted we've so far had 3. Will we see a fantastic 4 in Spain? And the man who did at once, I predicted again, doesn't actually have a race win yet, so, well, what can we read into that?
Well, we can read into it as it's just going to be a season of consistency. We've mentioned it so many times, haven't we, James, over the course of the opening 3 rounds, that consistency is key in a short season, and that is exactly what TRL Limitless has had. He leads the standings at the moment with 48 World Championship points, 2 second places and a 4th. Last time out in Spain, they see him lead the way at the top of the standings. Can he stay there? We'll have to wait and see. He has an 8-point advantage as things stand. So it's all hotting up. 8-point advantage over Leopard, who won in China. Sira, he is third in the standings with 39 points. 9 points covering the top 3 at this early stage. But it should be a thrilling season throughout as we see some of the drivers come out onto the track, the opening laps being set in qualifying. What can we expect here this weekend, James? We've got the super softs, we've got the mediums, and I think the other tire we have is the softs. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is. I'm not too sure. Oh, so what? Sorry? Can you change it and we don't have to end the stream? Is that okay? Well, okay, James is going to sort something out. Hopefully it's okay, we can get him back in. We might not have to restart the stream, hopefully we don't. But if you can't hear James, apologies for that. But if you can include his audio, we will hear him, which will be good. But 15 minutes to go in this session, and Sira, he is the top time at the moment, a 1:17.7 set on the medium compound tyre. Sarah Rosberg, he's gone and done a lap as well on the medium tyre too. He's set it in the Mercedes as James has left the session, so I don't know what's happened there. Hopefully we can get him back soon. I'll be keeping an eye on my inbox to be sure that he can rejoin us. I'm not too sure what's happened there, but Sira on top at the moment. There is TRL Limitless, your championship leader as things stand. And a fine 4th place last time out. So is he going to get that first win of the season under his belt? Potentially he will. As now my controller's decided to stop working. This is been an error strewn. But TRL Limitless, top of the standings, 48 World Championship points, yet to get a win on the board, since joining ILR. Quite incredible that he's been on this run without a victory, given how consistent he is. You'd expect him to be the man picking up the pieces if anything goes wrong, but he is certainly improving over the game cycle as we get towards the end of the game cycle. Of course, now the Renault F1 Esports team coach, and he'll be coaching none other than Ivo and Jarno. So those 2 drivers will be joined by another from the Pro Draft when it all kicks off very, very soon. So keep an eye on that man, TRL Limitless, the coach of the Renault Esports team. What can he do as he leads the championship in fine style? There is LCR Leopard. Now he did get off to the fine start to the season back in Albert Park, a race-long battle with the championship leader TRL Limitless. And you know, what can he do this weekend? It's been going rather downhill ever since that race, picking up a 3rd place in Bahrain and then an 11th last time out. A terrible result. Sorry, 11th in Bahrain. It was 3rd back in China. I'm getting mixed up because usually, of course, Bahrain is usually the first race, then China, but ILR decided to switch them around for this occasion. But Leopard on top at the moment, medium tyre, on his car, but I suspect that most of the laps will be done at the end of the session on the softer compound, which I believe will be the soft compound tyre. So everyone out there at the moment just setting a couple of laps on the medium tyre as things stand, as we have James back with us. And James, can we hear you okay? Hopefully we can. James, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
And have you got
back?
Is your audio going to be heard now? Hopefully it is.
Hopefully, we will see.
Well, that's good. Hopefully we can hear you now. That's what we love to hear, James. But it looks like 11.5 minutes to go in the session. Nobody's setting any serious lap times just yet, as you would expect. All on the medium tyre. We're expecting another race where it's all about that late run right at the very end, presumably on a set of the soft compound tyre. And we've seen that so many times already this season, and the trend looks like continuing, doesn't it, James?
Absolutely, that's probably the case. I don't imagine. Well, Spain's quite hard on the tyre deck, so I would expect something along those lines. So yeah, let's just see what happens as the qualifying session progresses once I'm back in the lobby.
Okay, yeah, I forgot you're not in the lobby yet. Apologies, James. Have you got an invite, or will you need one from me?
I will need one, I'm afraid.
Okay, I will send you one right now. Apologies for this, folks. Just a minor mishap that we've had to kick things off, but not to worry, you're not missing anything. You're watching cars pound round on the medium tyres, not doing any serious lap times. So it's all about the final few minutes in qualifying, as it always seems to be on the tracks at the start of a Formula 1 season. It's always about that late lap. And there we go, I've got James a little invite, and he can keep an eye on the action just like me when he rejoins the lobby. But it is LCR Leopard, for what it's worth, on top at the moment with the 17.2. What is it worth? Absolutely nothing, really. In the grand scheme of things, it's all about the end of the session. But as I mentioned, as James now joins, as you can see on your screens, LCR Leopard started the season in fine style. Got off the mark. OMG, it's Joe. He's second in the order at the moment in qualifying, and he, of course, missed the opening race. He was away on holiday, and 11 race season, you don't want to be missing races, and it really does impact your chances in the championship. It's the equivalent of missing 2 races, really, as it's usually a 21 race season, so it really is a kick in the teeth if you miss 1 race, with only 10 races to make it up. So OMG, it's Joe. Last time out, I wasn't here. James was certainly here. Can you talk us about that last race, James, which OMG, it's Joe won?
Yeah, it was quite a comprehensive win, to be fair, for Joe. He did drive the wheels off the car in Bahrain, as you'd expect. He didn't have the best qualifying, from what I remember. I think he only started 3rd on the grid, but managed to pull it through in some style, as you were seeing last week. It was a pretty hectic Grand Prix in Bahrain, and with that we actually lost a driver, but we won't go too far into that. Simple fact of the matter is here, though, is he needs to keep this form up. He needs to keep going now, needs to keep getting those wins, and we know, of course, he is on the back foot in his championship race, but not too far behind the guys at the front. He's 4th in the championship. And also, you guys remember the shock podium we witnessed last weekend as well, was Cyril Rosberg getting onto the rostrum. It was some sight to behold, it really was. It was a fantastic performance from Cyril Rosberg, and I don't know whether we'll see him there again this weekend, but we'll certainly hope to see him towards the front of the pack.
Absolutely, Cyril Rosberg, a big surprise getting himself on the podium last weekend. Big taste of some champagne. How many more times will he be able to taste it this season? Almost reminiscent of the big shock we saw from Jork 94 back in China. I mean, that was an incredible performance from him in that race, and that race was chaotic and exciting and tense and tight, to say the very least. So I wonder what he can do, the Toro Rosso driver. Can he pick up another strong result? The field certainly seems a lot tighter this season, James, doesn't it? I mean, it seems like they've all closed up, and that you seem to find that quite a lot when you go through the game cycle, don't you? As the game cycle comes towards an end, the drivers struggle to pick up. Sorry, I cut out there. There's my controller. But yeah, as I was saying, it seems to find that at the end of a game cycle that it's harder to find the time, and others do find time that aren't necessarily as quick, and it closes the field up, and we've seen that so far this season, haven't we?
Absolutely, motivation does become a bit of a factor at this point of the game cycle. We don't know how committed these guys are. I mean, the guys who are fighting for the championship are going to be committed, but those behind maybe just looking for their last grasp at this game and really thinking, okay, so where am I going to find that 10th here or two? They know where to find it. It's just going out there and getting it, and that, I think, separates the big dogs from the ones who are there, but just need that consistency at times. To be fair, though, the team that stood out for me so far this season, Andy, is, by no shadow of a doubt, is probably Toro Rosso. Last time out, actually, in Bahrain, Reynolds, I think, finished 9th on the road, but thanks to penalties, he finished 5th on track, which was quite incredible. It was another great points haul for Toro Rosso, and I think they're right up there in the Constructors' Championship now.
Yeah, they're picking up the pieces, aren't they? They really are doing a great job. I mean, just generally speaking, I felt that their qualifying and the race pace, so particularly of York in the race, but Reynolds in qualifying back in China, was absolutely magnificent. And yeah, they certainly are looking like the surprise package this season. We spoke so often last season about the Haas drivers, didn't we? Of Murso when he was teaming up with Holland, and Murso beyond that when he was teaming up with Bastek. And I mean, that was great to watch. And all of a sudden this season, it seems like the ones to shout about are EVR Reynolds and York. So keep an eye on those guys, folks. They will be trying to impress once again. We're still waiting on drivers to head out there in the soft compound tyre. Of course, that seems like the tyre to qualify on. Top 10 drivers will all probably qualify on that. Well, everyone will qualify on that to try and get into the top 10 and give themselves as high a grid position as possible. But those outside, maybe James might opt for the mediums and go a little bit longer. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, the medium's probably one of the best bets to start the race on round here. If you get the choice, I think it would be a wise decision to do so. The softs do last a fair distance, but it is the mediums that you're most likely to wanting to be on. 2 stops are even possible round here. You don't see it often though, so I don't think it's going to be often enough for us to see someone in this pack do a two-stopper without any sort of damage, etc. But everyone now is just piling into the pit lane. There is nobody out on circuit. It is a dead circuit in Spain, but it will be interesting to see who can break the mould with these top few guys, Leopard, Joe and Limitless. They're all so strong, but it's the case of who will get the last laugh in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. We were left staring at the pit lane there for a few moments, but thankfully the man of the moment, Jock94, where we're speaking of those Toro Rosso drivers, has ventured out onto the racetrack. And what can the Wigan man do? His team's safe from relegation now, of course. I always got to put a Wigan pun in there at some point, so maybe he'll be even more relaxed than he's been in recent weeks as a result of that. Maybe that's taken a weight off his shoulders, James. Even your team, James, is safe from relegation now.
Yeah,
so
even we're safe, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Maybe it'll be all happy in the commentary box as well as down on the racetrack. So, York94, what can we expect from him today? Surely he'll be aiming, James, to get into the top 10, but probably not at the end of the world for York if he's not, because he'll get fresh tyres at the start.
Well, I think with the case of these Toro Rossos, it's a case of let's just not pick up penalties and let's see how we get on in the race. I mean, they're obviously always pushing. These two are very good drivers, Reynolds and Jork, but qualifying in the top 10 isn't necessarily an advantage if you can opt for the alternate strategy. And we've seen the Toro Rossos so many times this season get into the points, but not together. That's been the one thing. It's very reminiscent of that of Haas last season, where either Morso or Holland were getting a podium, the other one wasn't anywhere near at some stage. So what we need then for the Toro Rosso team to really fit the mould is both of them in the points on many occasions as they possibly can. I'm sure we'll see that with Jork as we're riding on board with it. Well, let's see what he can do on his lap.
Yeah, let's ride on board with him. In fact, here he goes through that long sweeping turn 3. It really is a tyre buster, that one, and then into turn 4 where the Mercedes drivers famously crashed back in 2016, igniting the Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg battle. Now through the long turn 5, easy to run out wide onto the curb through there. Turn 6, it's flat out, simple enough. Then braking downhill into turn 7. So important you get a good exit up here, because you know you're flat out from this moment on. Flying through Kansas, and he's losing the rear there, Jork. It really is the trickiest corner on the racetrack, but he keeps it all together and braking hard down towards turn 10 at the end of the second sector. Now through the middle, the final part of the lap, a lot like Monaco, which traditionally is the next race on the calendar if you're doing a full season. This area of the track usually gives you an idea of how your car is going to be set up for that race in real life, but of course on Equal Performance, no such things as Jork bundles his way through that final chicane. I'm not a big fan of it. Round the final corner of turn 16, across the line, where's he going to go? It's P8, 3/10 off the top time, but it was a little bit of a scrappy lap, wasn't it? Especially up at turn 9.
Yeah, he lost time at turn 9. I think that's the biggest thing there. The back end was stepping out all over the place. Such a difficult balance through there. You could downshift to 6, but you've got to be so wide on entry and flat out all the way through. It's such a difficult corner to get right on that occasion for Chalk. I think Rosberg's just about to finish his lap in the Mercedes, or he's just about to start one. So I think most guys are now already in prep for a lap.
Sira's on one, but I think he's encountered quite a bit of traffic on this lap. He's got the Renault directly in front of him. I think it's Bastek, and then he was negotiating some people towards the end of his lap. What's it going to be for Sira across the line? 17.0, so quickest of all by 0.2 of a second. So it's a good effort there from VSR Sire to go to the top of the standings. So Leopard it was, in fact, it was just in front of him. He started a lap. Joe's just doing the same. Limitless though is out there and pushing very, very hard. The World Championship leader who spoke to us and said that in recent weeks he feels his qualifying in general is improving on this game. Is it going to improve enough for a pole position to match his top spot in the Drivers' Championship? He's yet to win this season at all, in fact, in ILR. Will this be the day that he does it? As he locks up slightly, going through that final chicane and now through the long sweeping turn 16 and up towards the line. What can the Mercedes driver do? A 17 flat to beat. It's a 16.2. He's on top by a mile. What an effort that is. Are we going to see an improvement? Verstappen goes second quickest. So there you go. Sira's lap really was not good at all. He's only a tenth and a bit up on his latest run. So who else is out there? We'll keep an eye on Leopard, we'll keep an eye on Joe, we'll keep an eye on Sira's second run, but let's stick with Leopard for now as he heads round the final corner and up towards the line. Can the Renault driver who won in Melbourne get back on top here in Catalonia? Yes, he can, by a tenth of a second.
Pretty tight at the top there. Kejagame moves himself into the 5th place, but it is also close at the top of the timesheets at the moment. Let's prove Giant to back out of his first run. He's now going to start his final run in qualifying, and let's see what Joe can do then.
Apologies for cutting out once again. I've got a bit of an issue with my controller and the plug. I'm getting too excited. So it's Leopard from Limitless, then Sira. If Verstappen up in 4th, can he stay there? That would be an incredible effort if he can. So Joe on another run. Let's keep an eye on Limitless. He must be near the end. He is near the end, but he's a 10th down on his previous best. So surely it would be a mammoth final sector if Limitless is going to retake top spot. He comes across the line. He does not. It's a 16.2. No improvement. Sira's backed out. Has Leopard backed out? He's got traffic, so we'll keep an eye on it. Jason's out there. We're still waiting on Joe, but we'll keep an eye on Jason and Merso. Jason, first of all, he's got traffic and Leopard right behind him. So Jason is 9th as things stand. Leopard behind him on the road. Limitless cannot topple Leopard. Can Leopard go quicker? Jason will go to the line first. What's Jason going to do? He stays 9th. Leopard stays on top. No changes between them. So let's keep an eye on the show.
Good lap from Holland. There's a Williams scrapping all over the road, trying to get out of the McLaren's way as he comes around the final corner now. This could be a big moment in the championship race. Can Joe find himself on pole?
He comes to the line.
No,
a 10th. It's not a good time there from Joe. Perhaps traffic. He was 4/10 up on his previous best going through the second sector. So whether there was more traffic, there was more time in it, I'm not too sure. But the top 14 cars, James, covered by less than a second, and that goes by what we said earlier on at the top of the show about how tight things are these days. The top 3 covered by less than 2/10, all 14 drivers, or 14 of the 16 within a second, and Jock and Reynolds, surprisingly on this occasion, left for dead because they've been driving so well this season.
Absolutely, the last back row of the grid. It's not the best place they want to be starting, but it's certainly not a good place for one of the title favourites, you could say, in OMG's Joe, only 10th on the grid. He had a really scrappy end to his lap, very scruffy in the final sector. That was just purely the Williams getting in his way, I think he would argue. I'm not sure which Williams it was, though. It would be slightly controversial if it was Sira. But nonetheless, Leopard is on top in qualifying, ahead of Tero Limitless. A good session then for Limitless, who starts second. Sira in 3rd. P1R Brown starts from 4th, ahead of Holland in 5th. Good lap from Holland to start from 5th, ahead of Sarah Rosberg. Again, another good lap to start from 6th. Verstappen with a good effort, 7th, 8th for more so. 9th for Kejagame, and Joe runs up the top 10.
Yeah, really interesting session. You have to agree with you. Holland and Rosberg shining and doing a great job there to be 5th and 6th. P1R Brown, solid effort in P4 too, but big questions got to be asked about OMG. It's Joe down in 10th place. Not ideal for him. Great effort from VSR Verstappen as well to qualify 7th. He will be absolutely delighted with that. But I mean, as I said, it's so close between the drivers. Everyone qualifying on the softs, and I think that pretty much confirms that we're going to have a dry start, James, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it most likely will be a dry start, even if it was a wet, wet going into the race. I think the softs would still be the best bet. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, though. Be interesting to see who starts on the mediums. And the other big thing to point out from qualifying is another good qualifying performance from Verstappen. He actually put it a bit of a blinder in Bahrain. Started, I think, right up there in the top 6. So he's got good one-lap paces for Verstappen. It's just putting it all together through the race.
Absolutely. It should be a cracking race. It could be a rerun, essentially, James, of what we saw back in Australia when it was all about Limitless against Leopard. Limitless qualifying so well again. And this is a real opportunity for him to get that first win on the board with Joe out of position, his big rival Leopard right in front of him. We spoke about how Limitless's race pace at times can be stronger than his qualifying pace. He couldn't quite get past Leopard when he was following him all the way in Australia. Spain isn't great for overtaking, but it's certainly more likely than Australia. And you know what? He's my tip today. I'm going to go for a Limitless victory. What do you think?
Well, it would be good to see. It would be his very first in this league. I wouldn't put it past him, but I think you've got to watch Joe as well. From 10th place, you can spring up all, and Sarah. They all spring up certain surprises. So I'll be interested to see what Joe can do from 10th. His starts are blistering recently, so I wouldn't expect any more from him. I'm going to even put a prediction on where he might be after the first lap. I'm going to say 5th for Joe after lap 1.
Well, you never know. Joe certainly, you cannot count him out, even from down in P10. We have seen results in ILR League before. I think actually Danny M7 in the first season came charging through, did he not, to win or get onto the podium one year? So, you know, it's... Well, what was it, James? I wasn't there that day. What was the actually... What?
It was, I can't remember the exact result, but Danny was fighting pretty hard with, it was Rosberg at the time, and I don't think they started at a very good position. I think Danny started from like 13th or 12th on the grid and made his way up through the pack, and Rosberg was trying to follow him through as well. They both had a really poor qualifying, and I think Leopard that day may have been on pole. I know, the irony here is quite amazing, so let's see what happens in this particular instalment of the Spanish Grand Prix.
Absolutely, it should be a cracker as we are waiting on the grid. I've actually just tuned into Limitless's stream to see what's happening. I think everyone's just sitting on the grid, but we have been sitting here waiting a while. What has happened to the start? Because we have been waiting for quite some time to get to the grid, and at the moment we don't seem to be going anywhere. So hopefully we'll get things up and running as soon as possible. But at the moment we are waiting, but it should be a great race, there's no doubt about it. I mean, overtaking opportunities, I said they are limited, didn't I, James? But best chance, probably down into turn 1 and at the end of that second sector, down towards turn 10. Two best overtaking opportunities on the circuit by far, aren't they?
Absolutely, and the real corners that put people off around here, because there's so much high-speed nature in the first sector at least, you're flat out basically through turn 3 and qualifying. But in the race, if you're sat behind that car through 1, 2 and 3, you've got no chance. You just lose all front end, and you'll see so many cars today understeer onto that AstroTurf on the exit and just lose a lot of time. It's so common around here. But the way you've got to approach turn 3 is you've got to throw the car once you're through turn 2, throw it from the right-hand side all the way to the left-hand side and throw it back in on itself through the right-hander, just to keep the wheel almost as straight as possible. It's the best way through there, but you'll struggle in dirty air, like I say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 11 races in this calendar, and it is TRL Limitless that is the leader after 3 races so far this season. He is gunning for that first victory from second on the grid when we eventually get going. 11 races, as I say, Australia, China, Bahrain, then Spain here today. We've got Austria, Britain, Germany, Italy, USA, Japan and Brazil. As VSR Verstappen leaves the session, hopefully we will be getting back underway pretty soon, or whatever it takes to get us underway. But of those 11 races, of the ones that have still to come, James, you know, Austria, Silverstone, Germany, Italy, there's so many great races, isn't there? I mean, it's all the ones that in ILR history they've thrown up some great races, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think all of them will, you know, always behold to be great races. We'll always find a great race. We wouldn't ever pinpoint which is going to be the best one. But if you remember last season, Silverstone was epic, as was Italy. Italy was another very good one last season. So we may see some absolute spellbinders towards the end of the season. Austria wasn't bad. We've seen a lot of different, the variety of winners here, and this is a big thing, is how many different winners are we going to get this season? We may see maybe more than my prediction of 5 different winners this season, but we're already on 3 with 3 races to go, with 3 races down, I should say. 3 different constructors as well. Great to see. Let's see how this, however many races we've got, 7 races or so, 8 races, pans out over the course of the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, that's right. At the start of the season, we made some bold predictions, didn't we? And I'm going to revisit them after 3 races. I said that TRL Limitless would fight for the title. So far, I've nailed that one down. I said that Jason would win at least 1 race. It's yet to happen. Will it happen? And as you say, James, with the variety of different winners, there's every possibility that he could win a race. He's not had so much luck, though, this season, Jason, but involved in incidents that have not been his fault. And I also said that Murso would win at least a race. Now, have I been too bold, or is it just waiting to happen? I've certainly got 1 of my 3 bold predictions right so far.
Yeah, I think you've been quite bold, dare I say. I think the 2 drivers you've picked out there, more so and Jason, they've had some pretty unfortunate luck at times this season. They've looked quite good in some stages, and then Jason, I should say, has been just very unlucky, I think, this season. I want to see more from Jason. I'm sure the time will come for him. I'm looking forward to seeing how he can get on over the course of the race. I'm feeling like it may... Okay, bear with me one moment. I may need an invite back.
What's up?
I've got to back out, apparently. Hang on.
Okay. Well, I think we've all got to back out. I think that's the general feeling. I'll back out at the last possible minute.
Is everyone else?
Yeah,
okay,
I think everyone else is backing out. Okay. But yeah, well, what was your bold predictions again, James? What was the main ones that you had?
Yeah. Sorry, it was so what we had on my predictions were we'll see at least 5 different winners of the championship this season, and we've had 3 different winners, as I've just stated. The second one was the driver, I should say, who will win the championship won't necessarily have had the most race wins. Now, championship leader at the moment is Limitless. He's had 2 second place finishes, and he hasn't won a race yet. So I could be right. I can't. I'll find my final prediction and I'll get back to you, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
Well, right now, if you put that on an accumulator down at betginge.com, my fantasy website that I made in the group chat for the league, which actually exists, by the way, you'd be getting a good price, James. I mean, I'm looking at 40, maybe 50, 60 to 1 there, so I could be out of pocket. As the bookie here, who knows? But yeah, apologies, folks, so that we are not racing at the moment. I think we've got an issue with the game, which happens slightly too often. We get it quite a lot, so hopefully we get back up and running soon, and we can have a proper start to this Spanish Grand Prix. We're now, as you can see, having cars on the grid starting because the rogue connection has departed. But I don't think this is really the race at all. So let's just watch them down towards that first corner. Anyway, I'm just going to keep an eye on them until I get an invite. Leopard, as you can see, that first corner, it's quite a tight one. It's a long run though. You can make some moves in the run down through there, turn 2 and 3, and there's Leopard deliberately sticking it in the wall as he goes through turn 3. But have we got an invite yet? No, we haven't.
I haven't had anything, but there is word in the chat that there will most likely be a total restart. So that is the case, and I've just found my final bold prediction. I won't even call it bold, but it's a prediction that I've made, and that was that we won't have a 1-2 finish this season. Well, just saying, we haven't had one of those either yet, so...
Well,
you know...
This bookmaker's about to shut up shop and go away, disappear, because I don't fancy having to cash out on that one, James, I'm afraid. But at the moment, your 3 bold predictions are bang on. They are looking pretty good. And you know what? If it does come in, I'll quote retweet it and just called it, full stop. If it does happen. And, you know, that would be impressive if it does happen. But hey, I'm 1 out of 3. I've still got every opportunity, but mine are rather bold. Rather bold. But yeah, just to be clear, folks. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you know more than I do that bets change in the blink of an eye. You score a goal and all of a sudden your accumulator changes massively. I'm not a betting man, but I know that bets change that quick. So you might be all right.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Given my luck on Wednesday night, I was only needing a Liverpool goal, and we all know what happened after that. I lost out on 255 quid because Salah couldn't put it into an empty net. But let's just ignore that for now. Let's brush over that heartbreaking moment for now. But yeah, the cars. Well, you're looking at the disconnected cars rejoining the grid at the moment. We're not obviously going to have a race with this field. We're going to wait to get back into the lobby, and we will get going again properly. Just to be clear, everyone that started the race or qualified on the tyres in the top 10, they have to everyone that started in the top 10 has to stay on the same tyres. Everyone outside the top 10 can change their tyres. So that's just to be clear.
Andy, do we remember the last time we had a scenario like this? If you recall back, it was the Belgian Grand Prix last season, I believe, and that one kicked off a little bit, if you don't remember, but I think now everyone is quite clear with the rules and they can't decide to pick the faster tyre. Or they can, but I mean it will ruin their race, I suppose, but I think they won't be able to pick the faster set of tyres. They should pick the tyres that they started the race on originally, would have started the race on originally, other than the guys outside the top 10 who always have free choice of tyres regardless. So I don't think that makes a big difference. Yeah,
so just to be clear, folks, anyone in the top 10, they can't just pick any old tyre. But to be honest, I don't think they would pick anything other than the soft compound anyway. Maybe they would pick the medium, but that's a discussion for another day. They've got to qualify on the soft tyre. They've got to start the race on those, and we will wait and see. But now I'm going back to the lobby, it seems. I'm still waiting on an invite. Maybe we're not getting an invite, James. Maybe we've got to go home. Maybe we've been sacked.
Well, I mean, you said about shutting up shop. We're not getting towards that stage yet. We're just switching all the lights off. They need to come back on again in a moment. But hopefully we get to see a new lobby formed in swift time. The last lobby took a fair while to get back, if you remember rightly. But whilst we're on the subject of, well, potentially future ambition, let's say, F1 2019 is being released quite soon, guys, and we've all seen just how sensational that game looks at the moment, and hopefully we get some quality action to go with all the lovely little features that we've been rumoured about, let's say.
Absolutely, James. A perfect stalling topic. We've been stalling for a while now, but that is the perfect topic to discuss while stalling. Yes. First of all, we've seen the gameplay that's been released amongst the various YouTubers and the general media, the gaming media, and I have to say, I am mind blown by the onboard footage I saw from Bahrain. I thought that was absolutely magnificent. I think they've got the lighting spot on. I think they've got the reflections on the car spot on with the floodlights and stuff like that, and the floodlights creating a haze in the darkness. I think they've nailed it. I don't know what you think, but I think it looks super aesthetically.
The sheen on the tyres looks fantastic. It just looks absolutely epic. And if you haven't seen it yet, there'll be somewhere on Twitter where you can just go and have a look. There's a screenshot someone made of one of the Renaults from this game and the Renault from the next game, and they're side by side in a picture, and you would not believe the difference. It is uncanny. It's so good, the graphics on that new game. Hopefully we just get all the little nitty gritty things like the online sorted out, and if we can, it will be by far and away, I'm sure, one of the best we've ever seen from the franchise. Absolutely.
And then, of course, all the rumours we've had about improving the online experience, which could certainly help everyone watching and us as commentators. Hopefully we'll get some other nice additions as well as we finally get ourselves a little invite. We'll join that. But what would we as commentators and the people as viewers be looking for to see in their streams? So obviously better camera angles, that's certainly one thing that we'll be looking for. But something I would love to see, James, and I think it would be really important, is extra things added to the HUD. I mean, what other extra things would you like to see being added? I think a few more additions are needed there.
I think as commentators, and I think as people watching the stream as well, I think definitely we'd love to see is the official graphics for the Formula One, the franchise of Formula One on, the stream. I mean, you won't get it completely to a T, but you'll get very similar aspects, hopefully, of it. Hopefully we get something like that. Also, you say about the camera angles. You're right. There's so many more camera angles than what we've got. We've got broadcast and telly tripod or offset or whatever the hell it is. And we know that these cars have numerous different camera angles. Maybe we have the graphics on the halo as well. Just different little things like this. I think would just make this game for commentating next year an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, and if I was to ask for one thing to be added, I would 100% go for time penalties. That to be a thing on the HUD for us to select. Instead of tyres for a lap, we can go to time penalties, and then the last three laps of a race, everyone's on the same strategy going to the flag. I can flick that to penalties. We can flick it to penalties, and everyone can see, what the penalty situation is amongst the drivers, and then the gap to the driver. I think things like that would be the perfect addition. I think that's the one thing we're missing.
We need stuff like that. We need the penalty count. It's definitely something that makes or breaks a league race, and racing for for years, for months, for weeks, however long you've decided to be watching it. It's always the one thing that people have gone back to is how many penalties has this driver got? And you've got to scroll through and you can find out who's got how many penalties and this, that, and everything else as well. And it'd just be great to see something like that. I think it'd be a great addition to have something like that as well. Also, I think I made a tweet the other day, and it was having the whole post-race, like the grid, with all this driver customization that is being added to the game, gotta have like an actual grid sort of sequence looking thing, and maybe a track layout as well with a couple of stats here and there, and it would just be epic if we could have something like that. It would really, really entice the audience.
Yeah, I'd love the official graphics, the official F1 intro with the music in the background for us to commentate over. I think that'd be great to, to hype up the viewers as they're watching, and it's just something, a commentator's dream, isn't it? We'd love that kind of thing. But I did ask people to send their questions in the chat if there was anyone there to watch, and Callum Teasdale asked, "What's happening?" Obviously late to tune in. Just to be clear, for anyone just tuning in, we're all lined up on the grid, and we had a game freeze, and we weren't getting the light sequence. So basically what happened was we had to leave and reset and start again, and that is exactly what we are doing. Malwante says, "My only concern over using the actual graphics would be watching how many videos get flagged by YouTube automatically."
Yeah,
now that is a very good point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big thing, and it's a shame that has to be the case. But these things are there, I suppose, and we'll see. Maybe they've been a bit more lenient on that sort of front, but we don't know. We don't know is a simple answer. Some people will know a lot more than I will on this sort of thing. But it'd be great to just have those graphics. I mean, no one can deny that having those graphics would make this so much more immersive to the viewer.
Oh, absolutely. And I kind of agree with you about the leniency thing. I think we are being a wee bit more lenient now on these kind of things, because you remember I don't know if you guys, anyone that's watching, if you've seen the guy that's been going about on YouTube putting classic races with modern graphics or things like that. He was doing it, nobody was copyrighting him, and then all of a sudden F1 were getting him involved and working together with him. So it certainly seems a lot more open from F1's perspective, and of course the things we're hearing about with F2 now in the F1 2019 game. So these things all adding up to suggest that maybe one day, if not this game, we will get the official F1 graphics, because F1's starting to slowly open the doors, and that's what we'd love to see. So that would be great. But the quality result, what was it? Someone was asking what the quality result was. It was on top Leopard from Limitless, wasn't it?
I'll give you a rundown of the qualifying grid. We may as well while we've got time. So it was, it loaded on my screen yet? Leopard was on pole ahead of Limitless. Just drive actually from Sarah to start from third. I didn't expect it, if I'm honest. He's a great driver, and we should be looking towards him in the fourth is P1R Brown, fifth is Holland, sixth is Rosberg, seventh is Verstappen, eighth is Morso, ninth is KJ Gamer, Joe outside the top, just gets into the top 10. Then Jason starts from 11th on the free serve tyres, and Drelix in 12th, Baztek 13th, Melanie 14th, and I know the two Toro Rossos on at the back row, but I can't remember the car in between them.
Yeah, it's the two Toro Rossos at the back, Reynolds and George. Again, for goodness sake, I keep dropping my controller, it's plugged in. But as I said, it was Jork and Reynolds in the back row. There were some half second off the back of the pack, the two of them, about 1.4 off. The last car in the top with 14 was 9/10 away. So yeah, it should be an interesting race for them. Can they try and get back into the points? We spoke about how they'll be aiming to do just that. So yeah, it should be a good race for them. But here we go, second time lucky. Hopefully we'll get underway. What can Limitless do from second? What about Leopard? Can he get his second win of the season? What about Sierra? He's won as well this season. Is he about to push his way into the battle for the championship after his win back in China? It's going to be a cracker. I'm tipping Limitless, but you're staying in the fence, James, at the moment.
Yeah, I was still on the fence. I think you can already tell how a race may pan out after the first 3 laps or so. But if you're even going to be that bold, I suppose. I mean, if I'm going to throw a name into the mix, a name under the hat, who am I going to pick here? I'm looking at. Actually, yeah, let's roll with it. Let's say JD. JD's got a chance here, and it'd be great to see a 4th different winner.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be the 4th different winner. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for the most open season of all. Like, JD is certainly one of the people you would consider for that 4th different winner. I mean, Joe, as we know, he's won a race already. He's got great pace. Sierra's won a race already. And we've already seen a race win as well from LCR Leopard, the pole sitter. But who else out there do you think would be next in line? P1R Brown, perhaps? Jason, with when he doesn't pick up penalties and when he shows some great pace. They'd be the other big names. Rosberg, he's just turned it on in recent weeks with that 3rd place. So 5th in the grid here, 2nd in the grid, sorry, here. He's got every opportunity. But here we go, the cars moving off the grid. We're about to get underway. Let's see if anyone has disobeyed the rules in the top 10. Thankfully, nobody has done that. Everyone starting on the soft compound tyre inside the top 10. Leopard, Limitless, Sierra, P1R Brown, CRGA, Holland, CRL Rosberg, VSR Verstappen, CRGA, Merceau, KG Gamer, and OMG it's Joe. Then, James, it gets interesting. Jason going for the mediums.
Yeah, Jason's starting on the mediums, Dralax on mediums as well. Baztek opting for the softs. He's hoping for a bit more aggressive start than everyone around him. His teammates on pole, of course. Melanie is also on the medium tyre. Jorg and Reynolds both decide to opt for those medium compound tyres.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting for those Toro Rossos coming through on the mediums. So 5 of the bottom 6 that get free tyre choice going for mediums. What does that say about the soft compound? Well, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how they pan out. But at the front, ahead of this 33 lap late race, it is going to be Leopard versus Limitless versus Sierra, who have been the outstanding 3 candidates at the top of the title race as the standings show so far. Just 9 points between them going into this one. Is Leopard or Sierra going to win again? Is Limitless going to get that first win in the board? What can Joe do from 10th? He's got ground to make up, having missed the opening race of the season. All these factors beginning to fall into place for what should be a fantastic Spanish Grand Prix. We've got P1R Brown sitting in 4th place. He has got a great opportunity today of getting onto the podium. He's won races at the highest level too. Holland.
Holland start from 5th. Yeah, Rosberg 6th, Verstappen in 7th. It is all about the start round here. It is a fair run to turn 1, but it's not where the race is won, of course. The guys know nobody else.
Yeah, well, again, I must apologise. I'm going to have to glue this thing in. But thankfully, we are ready for the start. Hopefully, we don't cut out at all. As the 33 laps ahead of us here in Spain, Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. 4th round of the championship. We've had 3 different winners from the opening 3 races. Are we about to see a 4th as the 5 red lights come on? It's Leopard on pole, Limitless alongside. It's one of the longest runs to turn 1 in the calendar, and the 5 red lights are out, and we are racing. It's a great start from LCR Leopard as he begins the long charge down towards turn 1. He's challenge as he gets there. He leads comfortably. Limitless under pressure. Sierra's wide. I think he got a touch there from Holland. So Sierra losing massive amounts of ground as Leopard leads them all the way through. From Limitless, Holland, P1R Brown, Rosberg, and Sierra in 6th. Down towards the end of the first sector, Sierra the big loser in the midfield. He's battling side by side with VSR Verstappen, who's in an average start, staying in 7th place off the line. But Sierra, the big loser at the start, James, is up the inside. Goes Sergi Merceau now and Verstappen, and there's contact, and he's round, and Verstappen and Merceau, and taking evasive action there off the racetrack was one of the Toro Rosso. So really messy stuff there. Chaos, Verstappen round and into a spin.
Yeah, it was a very hectic start, to be fair. Everyone seemed to not even get off the line. It wasn't a clean start at all. There was so much carbon fibre flying everywhere at the start. Holland gets a good one, though. He's third at the moment, started fifth on the grid. Made slight contact with Sarah into turn one. But you know what? It's an opening lap. You can expect to see something like that on the opening lap. And we've certainly seen it here. Joe making up positions at the start as well. He's seventh. Not quite my prediction that I was hoping for, but he's seventh at the moment, his own just Joe. It is Leopard, though, who leads. Had a great start with the Renault.
Yeah, fantastic getaway from Leopard. One of the cleanest starts I've seen, not even challenged into turn one. One of the longest runs in the calendar. And Jason is in the pits from those medium tyres. Not another race, but he's been caught up in a tangle for Jason. Things are not going swimmingly for him at all. Usually, the man that's so consistent never gets involved in an incident. Well, he's a magnet so far in his ILR career. He's going to drop down to the back and on those medium tyres. That is a nightmare situation for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just that rotten bit of luck. I really do wish him luck as well, because it's such a shame that he's such a good driver, Jason, and finding him in situations like that is not really where he wants to be. But it's saying pretty Constantino at the moment at the front. No one really fighting away and scrapping for position towards the front few at the moment. But DRS will be enabled next lap, of course. We all know what that entails.
Yep, DRS can really begin to spice things up. It's all rather pedestrian at the front. Leopard nearly by a second, trying to break that DRS window to JD in second. Then Holland third, Peter Brown and Rosberg tucked up behind him. And Rosberg.
Rosberg sat at the moment. We'll see how that pans out for him, because again, he wasn't in a great place on the grid in Bahrain. I'm pretty sure he started something like 13th on the grid in Bahrain and managed to finish on the podium. So that tells you everything about how just chaotic his Grand Prix was. But Leopard still leads on lap 3. We've got DRS this lap. Let's see what JD can do behind.
Yep, absolutely. JD, 1 second. It's just slowly beginning to creep above that window now. So he's under a bit of pressure to get himself back within it. As Leopard now beginning to streak clear. JD himself trying to break that window to Holland behind. He's threatening to do it. Then, of course, this battle in behind with Fiona Brown fourth, Rosberg fifth, Sira in sixth, and OMG, it's Joe in seventh. So, not quite the hectic battles we've seen in the previous races so far in this race, but given how tight they were in qualifying, I'm pretty sure they'll begin to open up soon, won't they?
Absolutely. It's a difficult one, like I say, Andy. These fast-flowing corners car, and you're seeing it here really, because no one's awfully close to one another. Just the weight that they're producing is just awful, and they cannot get close to one another at this stage of the race. And this is not a good idea for things to come, as KJ Game has actually passed Joe into the final sector. So Joe's lost ground on these guys towards the front. That's not the sort of impact Joe may have been hoping for.
Oh, he's retired. He's out, and I was on board with him there, so I don't know what has happened. He's pulling over, so perhaps he's got issues of some sort, a wheel issue maybe, I don't know, but he is retired and has left the session. So OMG, it's Joe for the second time this season will not be picking up any points, and in an 11 race season his championship hopes are very quickly fading, aren't they?
Yeah, and that is another so gutting for Joe really. I'm not sure whether there's anything he could have done about it or get investigating, but not the start of the season that Joe was hoping for. The win, which was his high point, and a retirement a week later. Yep,
just as you were hoping to pick up some points in the championship for that lost ground in the opening race, he's going to lose big ground here, because Leopard and Limitless, two of the big contenders for the championship, are 1 and 2, and you've got to say so far, James, Leopard looking very strong out there. 1.1 ahead of JD, and JD struggling to stay within DRS at this stage. So hats off to Leopard so far, doing a great job. James, are you there?
Oh, yeah, sorry, JD just wants to be keeping in that window of about 3 or 5 seconds, 2 or a bit seconds, because the undercut around here is quite powerful. So hopefully we'll see something along those lines in this Grand Prix. DRS enabled for Sarah, who's really closing up on Rosberg ahead of him.
Yeah, it's really beginning to get close there for that then, but this is the battle on the fringes in the top 10. Drelex 8th, Bastic 9th, and Merso in 10th. This looks like a cracking little scrap, and here comes Bastic down the inside. He goes on Drelex, he muscles his way alongside and through, up into 8th place. Good stuff between these three. Now through that long turn 3 where the dirty air will really, really hurt you, and it is the case for Drelex. He struggles to stick to the back of Bastic, and Bastic is through up into 8th place. A tidy move there, and now Mursell moving into position. And is he going to dive up the inside? Yes, he is, into turn 5, and he dances through. Drelex tries the cutback, but it's to no avail, and Mursell, with a tidy move there, into turn 5, moves up into P9. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, great little move there from Morso, and we want to be watching back up the front because it's starting to get a bit tighter for that final podium spot between Holland and Brown. And Brown's had a quiet start to this season, maybe had the luck some races and then not in others, so he's definitely been one to watch, but we'll see what we can do about getting onto the podium. Holland is a good quick driver and he's been showing some good form recently, so let's see how Holland will fare against P1R Brown.
Now it's 8 tenths between them as they come across the line. Let's see how powerful that DRS is as we ride on board now. P1R Brown, and that orange car in front will become an even bigger blob in front of him, but nowhere near enough as he goes down into that first corner, and he remains in 4th place for now, and then picks up a 3-second time penalty. So not at all what P1R Brown wants at this stage of the race. Only 6 laps gone, for goodness sake, and he's amounting penalties already. Not good for him.
It's not the sort of thing that you want to look at. But on the flip side, it's a case of, right, now I've got a penalty. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get another one. But you've got to, dare I use the word earn, but you've got to get your penalties. Sorry, you've got to think about now just how much you're going to be pushing the car to its absolute limits, because you, of course, don't want to pick up another one. But all the guys ahead don't have it as yet. That may just be after the lap 1. Lap 1 is always one where drivers do pick up the odd warning, because it's just a case of they're getting forced off the road because it's all very, very close on the opening lap of a Grand Prix, and I'm sure that's probably where Brown picked up his penalty from, really, in the sense of things. Getting the odd warning here and there, but most he gets his warnings at the start.
Absolutely, as Bastic now continues to follow. In fact, I'm going to go up to Sierra, who is around half a second off the tail of CRL Rosberg. That's becoming a bit of a train now, isn't it? Not really a train, I think that's a bit harsh behind Holland, but they're certainly starting to bunch up within 5 or 6 tenths. Probably the closest battle, or closest we are to a battle on the racetrack, as Holland now drops to around 1.8 seconds off the back of Limitless, who's slowly eating back into that advantage Leopard had, maybe holding the tyres off to later in the stint. We'll have to wait and see, but is this a sudden charge from Limitless as we keep an eye on Holland in 3rd with that group of cars behind? It could be a big scrap for the podium between these guys, but on pace you'd probably still expect Sierra to come through. It will be tough for them though, there's no doubt about it. These guys do have pace in front of them, but Sierra will certainly be aiming from here to get up onto the podium, won't he?
Absolutely, well, he needs to get a podium as well. He needs to keep that championship alive, and he's certainly doing that if he gets a podium here. All the top 3 for that matter, you would feel those would be the 3 to really take the fight. Championship. Brown late on the brakes in towards turn 10, can't quite get the move done on the McLaren ahead of him, but it is tightening up towards that final podium spot.
It absolutely is, as Holland in 3rd place just keeps his coattails, tries to cling on to the coattails of Limitless. 2 seconds now, the gap is getting bigger and bigger as P1R Brown now is his main focus, because he's only half a second behind, and I think on this occasion P1R Brown in that Alfa Romeo will fancy his chances going down towards turn 1. Lap 8 out of 33, and here he comes, gaining and gaining on the back of that McLaren. He's going to be alongside, he's going to be passed before the braking zone. Through goes P1R Brown, up into 3rd place. He's a little bit deep going through turns 1 and 2, but he's got the job done. Can he now build that gap with that 3-second time penalty? But it was tidy enough, and through he goes.
Yeah, it was a good move from Brown there once again, and with that 3-second penalty, now needs to get his foot down and just bolt in the laps really. But if Holland can keep him intact, then you feel that there's still an opportunity for all those behind as well, because hopefully, and in terms of rating sets, will probably be dragging each other along with the DRS that they get.
Absolutely, as Sierra tucks himself up behind Rosberg. This is the frustrating thing for him, as you say, the DRS dragging them along, and where will he get that opportunity to bite and attack Rosberg? He'd much rather they were all separated by a second each and he could cruise up and try and overtake one at a time, as Melanie picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting after 8 laps. But Sierra will have to try and engineer something special to get through them, or wait to the pit stop phase, which I'm not too sure when, but I would imagine around lap 13, 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
Would be around the time we'd expect a pit stop as Sierra rounds the final corner. Is he going to be close enough for a run on CRL Rosberg as we stay on board with the Williams driver. Doesn't look like it. Rosberg, meanwhile, struggling to catch Holland. It's all just equalising itself out due to the DRS, and they stay as they are. But it's the best battle on track as Leopard almost stretching out to 1.7 seconds now, James. Looking very strong out there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really starting to stretch his legs, and I thought Paul Rosson Bahrain needs to as well for his championship hopes. And 1.7 seconds to Leopard is some margin, so he's really putting it out the bag now. Is Leopard, and you look at the guys behind as well, and they're all just wrapping away. Sarah, this is a real big race for him. It could be quite decisive in terms of just how close he might be with the guys at the front. Is he able to match the pace consistently of the guys who are the top two at the moment in Leopard and Libertas?
Well, he's certainly very close to the back of CRL Rosberg, and he might fancy his chances here down into the braking zone of turn 10. It is a slender overtaking opportunity. You don't see very many moves there, but it can be done. It's probably the second best chance after the first corner, but it certainly looks menacing and the quicker of the two drivers between himself and Rosberg. But at the moment, unable to find a way through as they come round that tight chicane and across round the final corner up to the line. I don't know about you, James, but I certainly prefer the old layout where it just went flat out into that final corner from the previous. I'm not a fan of it now.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's so many F1 circuits like that these days, and it's just, you want those really committed corners, and that final corner, the final two corners, you say, it's Spain. Well, they used to be, well, they were commitment corners. You had to be flat out through there most of the time, and so unfortunately we don't see that these days.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but I think it was initially brought in not mainly for safety, but to help overtaking, but because, you know, dirty air through those two high-speed corners. But I don't really think it's changed much at all, that corner. But you know, maybe one day we'd go back, but I can't see it really just the way they treat safety these days, which is a bit of a shame. But it certainly was a fine couple of corners, no doubt about that. As we go back to Sierra, still lining up Rosberg, but still unable to find a way through. But Rosberg now threatening to drop out of that DRS to Holland in front. 8 and a bit tenths now, so if it does drop any more, you've got to feel that Sierra will be pouncing on Rosberg immediately, won't he?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll have to be. And the Williams has been strong. The first few races is the battle of the bad users between Rosberg and Sierra. The very illustrious list, you could say. There's not many of them anymore, but we'll see what Sierra can do against Rosberg. Then into turn 1, Sierra going to have an opportunity. He's close, he's close. Can he get past the Mercedes? Then he's alongside him into turn 1, and Sierra gets ahead of Rosberg. It's a good clean move from the Williams, and easy with DRS open. Just pulled out the slipstream when he needed to and through into 5th place.
Well, that's exactly what he was hoping for, isn't it? Sierra just waiting for Rosberg to drop off, and there he was. He pounced immediately and took that 5th place away. Just got some news on OMG, it's Joe's retirement. It's a broken throttle pedal, so it was a wheel/throttle issue, and it might rule him out for the rest of the season, so he says. So that is a real kick in the teeth and a shame for us watching, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm sure there'll be a way that he can come back. There already is a good show. But we'll see. Having an issue with your right foot buried to the floor is quite a big one, to be fair. You need to. There's a lot that right foot does in a race, not least power the car through corners. So it might be a slight issue.
I'm just having a quick read. He says that he thought he had an understeer glitch, but no, it wasn't the case. If he lifts off the throttle, his throttle stays at 20% input, so that's his issue. So you know, he's still carrying speed he doesn't need to be carrying through a corner, and it's forcing him wider. That might explain why he was 10th in qualifying. So P1R Brown has called for a pit stop very early on. He's the first to blink, lap 12 out of 33. He will go on to the medium compound. Is this an aggressive attempt to try and undercut Limitless at around 2 seconds the gap? Maybe it is. Is he going to come out into clean air? Not really. So he's going to be under the caution a little bit to try and clear the likes of York, Melanie and Reynolds. So he'll be going long into this race. So can it work for P1R Brown? It's an aggressive challenge. Maybe he's just trying to cover the podium place by not coming in later when his rivals near him. But we'll wait and see what he does. Let's see what pace he's got. CRL Rosberg picks up a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, and Leopard is starting to stretch his legs as well. He's nearly 3 seconds clear of Terra Limitless in P2. Holland and still sat in third. He's 2.5 seconds behind Limitless himself, so it's a very even spread at the front of the field. Then comes Sierra just in behind. But let's see what Brown can do. How big is the undercut round here, and will the trigger pit stops? You feel like it might just do so. Let's see what Leopard does. Does he pit? No, he stays out. Does Limitless dart into the pit? No, he stays out. Is Holland going to pit? Well, no, you guessed it. He's also stayed out. So that may just be a very early call from Brown there.
Well, he's not catching Jock just yet. 2 seconds is the gap. So we'll monitor P1R Brown's lap times. I'm going to actually change it to gaps of the leader for a few laps, just to keep an eye on Brown's progress. So 25.6 is the gap to the leader. Let's see if it comes down, and if it does, surely he'll be threatening Limitless maybe pretty soon in second place. As KJ Gamer now has come into the pits, Bastek likewise. So those two making quite an early stop for a set of medium tyres, and they make their way back down the pit lane. So let's keep an eye. What is the closest battle on track right now? It's probably between Melanie and EVR Reynolds. So they're 8th and 9th as things stand, as we wait for the pit stops to shuffle themselves out. Jason obviously now up into 13th after Bastek's pit stop, but he will not make the end of the race on those soft compound tyres, and it's going to be an uphill struggle for him to get into the points. But Melanie and Reynolds, even they are going to be struggling to get into the points this afternoon, because they just don't seem to have great pace, do they, these two?
No, they're lacking a little bit. I think it's just being on the medium tyres early doors. Those softs are such a big difference to use. So you may find they may come back into their own towards the end, but Reynolds getting a little bit out of shape coming into turn 9, keeping it all together in a Toro Rosso. I'm sure they will find a way of just closing that gap, and now the leaders all start to come into the pits.
Well, I think that was the right call. I think especially Limitless had to come in there, because he could have been under threat from P1R Brown if he left it any longer. So into the box they come, and it will all be medium tyres for the majority of them. Is it going to be Sierra ahead of Holland? That's the big battle we need to keep an eye on. Sierra up in the jacks goes the Williams, who are notoriously very quick when it comes to pit stops. Is he ahead or is he behind? Oh, is he going to jump? Has he jumped him? I think he has. No, he's not. The car's just going to pop up in front of me on the screen. Typical. Absolutely typical. Where's P1R Brown though in relation to Limitless? He has jumped him. He has got ahead. So there you go. Wow, that undercut was massive. So Limitless there, caught out by the undercut, and he drops way down. I don't think it was the undercut, I think it was just a really bad pit stop, because Leopard is 5 seconds up the road. He must have had to wait for cars coming into the pits.
Yeah, that is the last thing on Limitless's mind. That is the last thing he needed in this Grand Prix, and not the situation he wants to find himself in, because he's now under pressure from Holland behind him.
Well, Limitless, he must have been held in the box. That's the only possible explanation for that. He must have had to wait for Holland and Sierra to come flying past. It's cost him about 3 seconds, and it's cost him, crucially, what would be second place on the racetrack. So P1R Brown moves up into a net second place. Incredible scenes here.
Absolutely, and you feel like Limitless. There was a situation last season, if you recall, where Reynolds and Limitless got into a little bit of contact, both of which were on differing strategies. Limitless has just come out of the pits, and Reynolds was just ahead of him. On this occasion, it's a similar that little bit further up the road. Let's see what Hogg can do with the DRS behind in his rear wing. Let's see if he gets any closer to Limitless. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case on this particular lap, and Brown gets past York and moves himself into 5th place and still keeps his net second.
Yeah, he has to give himself as distant as he can from Limitless, no doubt about that. He is on 2 lap older tyres than Limitless. It will be a tough call for him to stay ahead of Limitless, who by the looks of it certainly has more pace than P1R Brown, and will have more pace on fresher tyres. So we'll have to, we'll have to wait and see what the result will be, but certainly every possibility here for P1R Brown to get second place. Limitless will have his work cut out. It isn't easy to overtake, so keep an eye on him. It will be a good battle as Limitless now comes onto the back of Jock, and he should go up the inside. Do not expect Jock to fight this too hard. Into the corner they go, and Limitless will take the inside, forces the Toro Rosso a little bit wider, and through he goes. And now Jock under pressure from Holland, who will try and go round the long way. That's going to be something special if he can go round the outside there, and through he goes. I don't think Jock's too bothered, and through he goes up into 7th place.
A good move nonetheless though from Holland. That's a nice little pass. I wouldn't expect you to keep the momentum on the throttle around the outside through there. It's a difficult corner to, at the best of times, you always feel like you go too deep or you go in too tight and it just compromises your run. It's a very difficult corner to absolutely nail to a tee. But Holland nearly damn well did there, and Sierra's now got past him as well. Has got past Jork, and he is now just behind Holland as well. So it is all starting to close up, and this is now a battle for second place.
Absolutely. So Sierra, through he goes, cruising past Jork, who of course is not interested in battling those guys. He wants to try pick up a World Championship point at the end of this race. So if Jork can do that, then the best way to do it is to not get himself involved in battles with cars that he isn't racing. So he'll be hoping maybe that Melanie will try and get his elbows out a little bit more, but I highly doubt that, as P1 Brown moves on to the back of him. Limitless around 1.1 off the back of this. So Brown, he wants to get ahead of him before Limitless gets into DRS territory. That's his aim, isn't it?
Yeah, but Brown's caught Melanie at a really bad point of the third sector, and this is going to cost him so much time. You can see it evidently as he's closing the gap to go ahead, and Melanie's still not getting out of the way. The Haas is in the slower situation here on the terms of tyres, and he's just holding up the Sauber or the Alfa Romeo of Brown. And let's just see whether how much dividends that's paid. Can Limitless get turn one?
Yeah, well, he might actually. Limitless is going to have a chance here, and Limitless knows he has to try and do it. Can't quite get close enough, but it certainly will favour him. I would fancy Limitless to get ahead of Melanie before Brown gets far enough ahead. So here we go, look at the speed difference because of the tyre compounds, even with the dirty air. And wow, Limitless cruises up and passes Melanie with ease, stays within DRS territory to the car in front. And we got a yellow flag out there. Why is that? Is Jock gone round or something? He's at a moment, he's back on the track again, but the front wing is clearly damaged on that Toro Rosso driver's car. So Jock's had enough, but Limitless right in the thick of it now, right up there with a real chance of passing Brown soon.
Absolutely, and the other effect it's having is if Brown's late enough on the brakes with the fresher tyres here on the Alfa Romeo, he's going to catch Reynolds in the bad place as well in the final sector, and actually Holland's managed to get past Melanie now as well, and he's got a buffer to Sierra behind him, which is good news for the McLaren driver.
Absolutely, Sierra catching Melanie at the wrong place at the racetrack, just as we saw a lap ago with P1 Brown as they shuffled their way through the final sequence of the track. Melanie as well is coming in, so there you go, that frees up Sierra now to get away, and after Holland, Limitless and P1 Brown. And Limitless, you know, he's been dragged into this battle for the podium spot because of a bad pit stop. So it's really dragged him in. If P1 Brown can stay ahead of Limitless, Limitless runs the risk of being under threat from Holland and Sierra, and that is the last thing he wants, isn't it? So he needs to try and break clear, trying to get ahead of P1 Brown, because he's going to get sucked in to a 4-car battle for second place as things stand, not a 2-car battle between him and Brown.
Absolutely, and Reynolds will be the cork in the champagne bottle again for P1 Brown. Needs to find a way past him soon. Turn 10 we feel would be the best place for Brown to get that move done, but if he's not brave enough on this left foot, then you feel like this could be another waiting game in the final sector, and that's at a time where Limitless is only half a second behind him. Let's see if Brown could get past him into turn 10. No, he's not, so he's going to have a slight issue. No, Reynolds locks up, and it's side by side then through turn 10, and Reynolds cuts him off through turn 11, and the Toro Rosso stays ahead of him for now.
Well, we've got that going on. We've got Leopard up at the front trying to get ahead of Dreylex, and Dreylex comes into the pit, so that ends that.
Ends that squabble. See what Limitless can do against P1 Brown as we head down towards turn 1. Mercedes got so much better drive coming out the final corner here.
Oh.
Will he make a move on Brown? He's going to move one way, then another. To the outside goes Limitless. He's going to have to give it the big old beans on the brakes around the outside. He's going to give it a good go, and Limitless this time gets ahead of Brown, who squeezed out the road, and Holland's trying to join in the fray as well through turn 3. And can the McLaren find a way past the Sauber here? Looks like he might just be able to. On the run down to turn 4, here goes Holland up the inside. He's going to be wheel to wheel with the Alfa Romeo and can't quite find a move yet. They're still side by side down towards turn 5. Who's going to be late after the late breakers? Looks like it's going to be this time the Alfa Romeo, who stays ahead of Holland and keeps his third place.
First of all, I must apologise for the constant cutouts of the mic in the stream, but we are back again. What a move that was from Limitless round the outside of P1 Brown. He knew he had to get that job done to avoid being dragged into a four-car fight for second. He's now ahead and he's content on trying to break that DRS. Can he do it? in that final sector. The gap around 5/10. He really needs to get his foot down if he wants to make it work. He's got fresher tyres than P1R Brown. Holland and Cera, though, have similar tyre life, so JD really needs to get away before Holland attacks Brown, but I feel that Holland fancies his chances even with JD giving DRS to the car in front. So let's keep an eye on CRGA Holland round the final corner. P1R Brown picks up that DRS. He will close on JD. It won't be enough to get him through, but Holland, he can't do it. He just cannot get close enough. He equalises it all out, and it will stay as they were. And look at that, P1R Brown straight back like a cat onto the back of Limitless, James.
Absolutely, but look how Limitless takes that wide approach I was talking about that just opens out turn 3, and he's then flat out on the gas all the way through down towards the braking zone of turn 4. It's just so much grit you're able to find when you throw the car in like that, and just everything. But can he pull that gap to Brown? It's such a difficult circuit to pull gaps to, and he'll find that out as his race progresses, as Jason actually sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Take a bit of solid from that.
Yeah, well, Jason gets that. No DHL fastest lap award, unfortunately, this year, which is a bit of a shame on the game. No point for that, Jason, but he'll keep his head up. He's got fresh tyres now, fresh softs. Can he make his way into the points? He'll need a few issues in front of him perhaps, but he'll certainly try. We lost Jork as well from this Grand Prix, by the way, so not a good afternoon for him. But Reynolds, by the way, in the other Toro Rosso, might fancy his chances to get back into the points, because he, as things stand, is only 5.7 away from Bastic, who's on the medium tyre. So an opportunity perhaps there as we keep an eye on the battle for third position, I should say. And P1R Brown now under threat here from Holland, and Holland's on the inside, and Holland should be far enough alongside to make that move stick, and he is. So Holland takes that place back that he lost earlier on in the race to P1R Brown, and P1R Brown really is suffering by coming in early on the medium tyres. It was earlier gaining him that second place, but now it's costing him time and places later on in the race, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so difficult to defend into turn 1, and you'll notice that every car, if you ride on board of them towards the first corner, don't hit 8th gear. They're all just hitting the rev limiter in 7th. Don't want to change up to 8th because it loses the momentum as they then hit the brakes. And there's another big one penalty there for Tiro Limitless, who gets himself a 3-second time penalty, and that's just thrown Cera right back in this, and could well find himself with a podium here. Let's see what he can do into the brakes into turn 10. Not close enough on this occasion. Yeah,
Cera will be delighted if he hears about that one. What an opportunity. P1R Brown's got a penalty, Limitless has got a penalty. I don't know about Holland, but certainly at the moment, net P3 at the moment for Cera, and P2 it would be for Holland. That would be a sensational result for him. And wow, it really is beginning to shape up at the front, isn't it?
Absolutely. Holland doesn't have a warning, let alone a penalty. He doesn't even have a warning. He's having a terrific afternoon in Spain, but let's watch Brown because he's really closing in on Holland.
Yeah, P1R Brown closing in the back of CRGA Holland. He's so close, but unable, as things stand, to get through, and what could be a key battle. Holland won't want to fight with Brown if he knows he's got a penalty, as Brown runs very wide there, and those tyres beginning to scream for more life as we have reached 2/3 race distance, lap 22 out of 33. It's 11 to go, and still P1R Brown struggling to get away through. Leopard has been in a league of his own this afternoon, hasn't he? I mean, Limitless, he had the issue, of course, with the pit stop, and it has forced him to fight with these guys, so 8 seconds isn't fully representative, but even from the early lap change, he's had us in the back, hasn't he?
It's frightening pace. It's frightening pace from Leopard there, and if you don't think that this man will be towards the top of the championship come the finish, then you will be certainly very, very wrong, because he is a master in some circumstances, and the way that he's driving that car at the moment is epic. At times he gets into wheel-to-wheel combat, people do give him the hard and the cold shoulder, but when he can drive a race as well as he is here, then you really know he is on top of his game at the moment, and he is certainly one to watch. 8 seconds out in front against Tiro Limitless. That's no mean feat.
Absolutely, and if Limitless was to break out a 3-second gap ahead of Holland, he would still lead the World Championship by 1 point, despite not winning any of the opening 4 races. So that just shows you how important consistency is, but he's got his work cut out to open that gap. But if he can, the championship lead is not lost for him, even if Leopard wins this race as a result of Leopard's bad result in, bad result in
in Bahrain.
Yeah, but he was 11th. So yeah, a big hit there for Leopard, and it just shows you, James, consistency is more important than winning the odd race now and then.
Absolutely, and with bold predictions coming in, you need to be consistent. Don't have to win every race, as Terra Limitless has proven. He's still in the championship fight. We are still early doors, so about the championship or there or thereabouts, but still within that bracket. That's a good place for him to start. Just getting those podium finishes, because there's what getting you the big points. But the race win, I'm sure for JD, will come sooner rather than later, and it needs to as well. He does need to win a race this year. I can't say that you'll win a championship without winning one, but you'll certainly come very close, as Limitless has seen many a time in his league racing career.
Yeah, well, that's a chance for Sierra behind Brown. Brown does have the TRS, but it's not very effective slipstream, not quite enough to get behind and attacking as Brown gets close enough to Holland to pick it up. What about behind that though? KJ Gamer fighting with Drelex for 8th position on the racetrack at the moment. This looks like a great battle. Drelex on the softs, KJ Gamer on the mediums, so he is surely going to have a big opportunity here. Look at the difference in speed, and here he comes. He's going to be forced to go around the outside. Here is Drelex. Can the Canadian pull off a stunning move here in the Spanish Grand Prix? KJ Gamer muscles himself, gets his muscles out, pushes him wide, and holds on to that position. Great stuff there from KJ Gamer, getting his elbows out and holding on to that place.
Yeah, absolutely, doing a fine job holding him off at the moment. The man who's having a very quiet race in this Grand Prix is CRG more so. Not really seen too much action, I would have thought, in that Red Bull. And there's a bit of sideways action there from Drelex. Just could bite the tarmac on those soft tyres, and he's, well, that's just a bit of a struggle for him as Reynolds has retired, and we won't see a Toro Rosso in the points today. Yeah,
we won't see any Toro Rosso. That's a shame. Reynolds out. Jason now up to 12. I still don't think Jason's going to be able to do enough to get into the points either, but a great effort from Jason to keep battling on. I love to see that. He really does battle all the way to the flag. Good effort there from him, but whether his attitude equates to the deserved points, I will have to wait and see. He deserves a bit of luck, that's what he needs. But here comes Drelex again onto the back of KJ Gamer. He looks pretty close, and here comes the Canadian. Can he sweep round the outside of KJ Gamer? He tries his best. KJ Gamer covers it off. He's defended well so far, has KJ Gamer in that Williams, but now as they sweep through turn 3, Bastek picks up a 3-second time penalty. Can Drelex outfox him this time? He goes for the big lunge up the inside into 4 to try and frighten KJ Gamer off the road. It's to no avail, and KJ Gamer clings on, but this looks like a cracking little scrap for 8th and 9th place, doesn't it?
Absolutely, KJ Gamer's not giving it in at all at the moment. Drelex keeping him behind that Williams for now, and been really overshadowed by his teammate Cyril this year, but KJ Gamer's also had picked up the points where he's needed to at points in this season, and let's just see if Drelex can do anything about him under braking in towards turn 10. It'll be definitely close as they head down towards there, but I don't think he's going to be close enough on this occasion for the soft runner. He stays behind and into 9th.
Yeah, well, let's keep an eye on Sierra this time round. He looks very close to the back of P1R Brown, and Brown is just threatening to drop out of that DRS territory. I think he's going to get it, and a decent exit out of that final corner might just keep him ahead for this lap of Sierra. I think he will be okay. So as a result, I'm going to shuffle back down to Drelex and keep an eye on this ding-dong battle between the pair, which I'm really starting to enjoy. Get the popcorn out. Is he going to have enough in him to get alongside? KJ Gamer's going to squeeze him right out towards the edge of the track. KJ Gamer flies off the road, and he will go straight on and into the gravel trap and pretty much into the barrier. And I've got to say, KJ Gamer, a little bit of a late move there, wasn't it? And a bit of a squeeze.
I think he was a victim of his own demise there, was KJ Gamer. He was just trying to squeeze Drelex completely out of road. He was always coming across. You cannot do that on a racetrack like that. It's just going to bite back on you. And he's witnessed it there. It's not the sort of move you need to be making. You can be aggressive, and I'm all for aggressive racing, but when you're pulling across that much onto the defensive, it's just a bit too much, especially when there's a car that close behind you. You shouldn't expect a car to break in a straight line on a main straight. That is ludicrous. So on that occasion, I would have to put the, dare I say, but if I had an opinion on it, I'd say it's probably KJ Gamer's fault.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think he might get the book handed to him for that one, KJ Gamer. And you know, just maybe need to calm down a little bit at times. Stop, maybe stop overstepping the mark. He had that crazy crash. as Sira attacks P1R Brown. Let's keep an eye on this. Is he going to get his move and through he goes? Yes, easy enough for Sira. The Brazilian master on the pad dances past up into 4th place. Next up is Holland. It's been a warrior's performance, a battling drive from Sira to get back up towards the podium. What do you think, James? Do you think he'll be able to get Holland before the end? I would fancy his chances. He's going really well, isn't he?
He's going very well, but Holland's also had driven a fine Grand Prix today.
Yeah, sure,
really has. He's had a terrific afternoon, so I wouldn't put my bets past him with the final 5 or 6 laps to go of this Grand Prix. He just needs to hold on that little bit more, Holland. It's going to be very difficult for him to do so because Sira is a master, as you say, on the pad, and I'm sure he'll be coming at him with everything he's got. But the Brazilian needs this a lot more than perhaps Holland needs it, and you know, that's the sort of difference we're getting at here. Can Holland defend for another few laps?
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Sira looking very strong, but we have to agree with you that Holland has driven a magnificent race this afternoon. There's no doubt about that. He's driving very well, and it's still just about within DRS territory to Limitless and would thwart him of the championship lead if he can stay within it. But it isn't going to be a tall order. The gap has been slowly climbing up, and with Sira now closing in, he's going to have to switch his attention to him. So 2nd place could be about to become 4th for Holland because he has no penalties. Limitless does have one.
I've checked the penalty count for Sira and actually has one. He's very close to getting a 2nd. So actually in that sort of instance, it's all okay for Holland. It's just going to be a good battle to watch, I'm sure, between these two because they mean so much to finish technically 3rd on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a champagne at stake here, and if Holland doesn't want to put himself any unnecessary pressure though, does he? So surely for at least 2 or 3 laps, he's got to keep Sira behind. Doesn't want to have Sira in front with a chance of climbing 3 seconds up the road. Then he goes and gets a penalty himself because he's pushing. So the best thing for Holland to do, try and defend without being overly aggressive, because you don't want them both off the road. And maybe, just maybe, with a bit of luck, he will earn himself that podium without too much trouble. So that will certainly be his game plan. P1R Brown on those older medium tyres, starting to die off from the back of the group, starting to struggle, a bit like his tyres. And it's not looking good for him. Interestingly, JD keeping that gap at around 8 seconds to Leopard, so that shows that he did have some solid pace in the second half of the race. Whether Leopard's pushing or not, I do not know. Limitless, of course, does have to push as he's tantalisingly close in that battle for the podium spot. But here comes Sira this time, easily passing Holland into turn 1, and through he goes into that 3rd place. And by goodness me, Limitless will be delighted to see that, and he'll also be delighted to see that Sira has got a penalty to his name as well.
Absolutely. Well, this is the thing when you're racing, though. You know nothing really unless you get onto the radio. You ask Jeff, oh yes, what's the situation behind, and he gives you the absolute incorrect answer. So you're never too sure whether the cars in front or behind have got penalties. So for this case for Holland, I'm sure he'll still be thinking, and if he has been told the correct information, he'll know that Sira has got penalties. So in his case, he'll just be thinking, okay, well, all I've got to do for the next 4 laps is just keep in behind him. Let's try and not make the gap as big as 3 seconds. Simple.
Well, as you know, as we both know, we usually commentate, but when we do like to race, my favourite command to Jeff is to tell him to shut up because he's useless. So there you go. Not a fan of Jeff at all. Sorry, Jeff, if you're listening, but you're about as much use as, well, I don't know. You're just useless, mate. I mean, you're not even comparable, Jeff, to anything. You're just useless, mate.
I've got a good one. He's about as useless as a chocolate fire blanket. It's no use whatsoever. It's just going to melt. Let's see what Holland can do as he heads towards turn 1 against Sira here. He's not close enough on this occasion.
I do like melted chocolate, so it is useful for me. Unless I'm going to die in a fire, right enough. Anyway, enough of the hilarity and dying in fires. Let's get back to the action. Sira in 3rd, Holland in 4th, and P1R Brown in 5th. And thankfully, I've just looked outside the commentary box window. There's no fires in the commentary box behind me, so that's okay. We do have a chocolate fire blanket on standby, but hopefully it won't be required. Anyway, LCR Leopard leads by 8.1 seconds to TRL Limitless in 2nd. Sira inside the 3-second window, but as we know, he has a penalty himself. Holland the only man in the bracket between 2nd and 5th without a penalty, so he should pick up that 3rd place from Sira as things stand. James, not much going on in the track in terms of action as things stand. That's why we're talking about chocolate fire blankets. But the driver of the day, we've got to discuss that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it would be only right for us to get back onto the action here and say, well, for me anyway, it's got to be Holland. He just really did nail the start. Had to get his elbows out, but I'm everything for that. I'm everything for an aggressive start, and most people know that by now, and he's definitely done himself justice. He was racing on behalf of a couple of people this evening. If you register it, you know exactly who those people are, but hence the black helmet for this particular race, and I give him all the plaudits for doing. That's a nice gesture from Holland, and let's see what he's able to do to make them proud and finish onto the final, well, onto the top 3.
Yeah, good drive from Holland. I have to say, he's driven a great race. You know, I want to give it to Holland, I really do, but I really believe Leopard has been magnificent today. I think he's been untouchable. I know the gap of 8 seconds isn't fully true because of Limitless's issues in the pit stop and then battling back through, but I just have to give it to Leopard. I really think he had this in the bag from the moment the race started. He was absolutely superb. He hasn't picked up a penalty either, like Holland, of course, who arguably deserves the driver of the day as well. So I think we might go for a joint driver of the day today, and we'll say Leopard and Holland. Can we do that? Is that within the rules?
Is that allowed? I don't think we've ever done it before, so yeah, why not? Let's break a leg, let's see what it's like. I'm sure people won't mind, and yeah, Holland's driven an absolutely flawless race in the McLaren. Actually picking up points from McLaren as well, because Joe's often the man, dare I say, getting the points for the team, and he's not on this occasion, and neither Sarah for Williams, because he's now found himself with another 3-second time penalty. He'll fall even behind Brown at this stage.
Well, all that warrior style battling back through the order is actually really for nothing for Sierra, because he's picked up penalties that have really cost him dear, and it's been a really frustrating afternoon for the Brazilian driver, who of course is the pad god, an absolute god in the pad. How that man can drive like that on a pad, I have no idea. But today, been a scrappy day, arguably touched off the road into turn 1. I think it might have been by Holland or someone that nudged Holland, I'm not too sure. But forced Sierra wide, and he had to battle back through, and as he's battled back through, he's picked up a couple of time penalties, so it's not been his day. He will lose ground in the championship battle, crucial ground that you can barely afford to lose, given how short a season it is. But it looks like, by the looks of things, LCR Leopard, as he starts his final lap, he might win for the second time this season, but he ain't going to be the championship leader, is he, James?
No, and that's quite amazing that the 1 point margin, even if Leopard's won 2 races, and Leopard is still technically, well, he's not won, well, even technically, he just hasn't won a race this season, so he's really struggled. Well, not struggled, that's the wrong word to use. He's just been very unlucky in the sense that he's not been able to win a race here and there. But I'm sure his time will come. Now, we know JD, and we know that this is a much better sort of, this is the JD that we're starting to, we really know. Someone that's really trying to go for these championships, and sitting in behind Leopard, I'm sure he respects Leopard very highly in the sense of how quick a driver Leopard actually is. So I'm sure he won't be awfully worried of finishing behind him, but I'm sure eventually he'll want to get in front of him as well.
Yep, he's a serial winner. He loves the competitiveness of it, but Limitless, his time will come. He still is going to leave the Spanish Grand Prix as the championship leader, but this young man really is starting to set the headlines in ILR. If he can sort the consistency out, surely he's the favourite for the championship. This is going to be his second win. The run of different winners in the opening few races is coming to an end, because here comes the Renault of LCR Leopard. He wins the Spanish Grand Prix. He's the first man to win 2 races this season in ILR. Limitless comes home second. He's won none, but he holds on to the championship lead with uber consistency. 3 seconds and a 4th to his name so far. Holland is 3rd. Potential driver of the day award there. We're going to share it between him and Leopard. We've never done it before. There's a first time for everything. Timur Brown is 4th, Sierra is 5th, and it's going to be 6th for CRL Rosberg in the end, with Drelix in 7th, Merselwaite, Bastic 9th, and Melanie, would you believe it, is going to get a point after all in 10th place, James.
Happy days for Melanie. He did have a very quiet race, as he has done for a lot of this season, but well, 10th place, he'll be happy with that. Trelix manages to finish 7th in the end, but He wasn't that far off Morso in the end for 6th. Again, quiet afternoon for Morso. But let's get these top 3 in and see what they have to say for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, there they are on the podium for the second time this season. There he is, the man at the top, LCR Leopard, won in Melbourne with JD second following him home. It was a little bit more convincing today. He was dominant throughout, a really strong performance, one of the strongest performances I've seen from Leopard actually. I thought he was absolutely magnificent today. He wins, Limitless second, who holds the championship lead by 1 point now. Third place at the end of the race went to Holland. Another driver of the day performance from him. Great effort there from 5th on the grid to come home in 3rd. P1R Brown, there he is. He's 4th on the grid. 4th at the end of the race. Started 4th, finished 4th. Sierra in the wars this afternoon. Battled hard, but the penalties were his downfall in the end. He was 5th. Sierra Rosberg, quiet race compared to last week. He was 6th. VSR Drelex was 7th. Great result from him from 12th on the grid. So super job there from the Canadian. Murso, he came home in 8th. That's where he started. Bastek was 9th. Melanie came home with the final point in 10th. Jason, when will his bad luck come to an end? It really, really is getting beyond a joke now for Jason. So unfortunate. Verstappen was 12th. KG Gamer 13th after a bit of a bump on the racetrack, to say the very least. Reynolds, he was 14th. Jork 15th. And OMG's Joe 16th. 2 races now. OMG's Joe has failed to score a point in. His championship chances are over because he's revealed to us tonight after the race that his wheel is broken, his throttle input is stuck, so it is unfortunate for him. We're waiting on the guys getting in here for the podium interview, but they're beginning to join now, and I think, James, Leopard is there, so we can have a word with them.
We can have a word with them. I was just about to say as well, before we go to it, it's a slightly ironic situation where a racing driver has too much power in the case of Joe. But anyway, we'll move swiftly on to Leopard, who's won here tonight, and it was just a dominant display really. The race never really looked like you were in any sort of bother at all. Pretty plain sailing, you'd say.
Yeah, I guess it's really what I wanted, to be honest. I knew Spain would be a pretty good track for me. So yeah, I got pole, which was a start, and got a pretty decent start. Was unchallenged into turn 1 and just try to control it from there. Broke the DRS and pretty much knew I had the pace to do what I just did from there. So yeah. I mean, I didn't expect that gap to be as big as it was. I mean, it was like 3 seconds when me and JD both pitted, and then suddenly he's battling away in the and then suddenly he's battling away in the battle for 3rd with Brown, Holland, Syra, and it's like 5-6 seconds off me. So, oh no, I don't know how that happened, but yeah, good race.
Absolutely. I mean, with the races coming up, there's obviously, it's a big deal in terms of the championship with you two now, just 1 point between each other. Do you expect him to keep you honest? Do you expect him to keep your feet on the ground, as it were, and continue to fight you for the championship?
Who, JD?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to expect that from him. I don't know how many years he's been league racing now, but it's a lot more than me. So yeah, he'll keep me honest for sure. Hopefully, or maybe not. No, I'd rather clear off actually. But for the sake of the viewers and you two in the commentary box, yeah, let's hope you can keep me honest.
Leopard, that's the right answer. That's the answer you should be giving.
Yeah, but I seriously don't want it.
Yeah, on the win. JP2 today. You were very unlucky in the pit stops. I think that's the main reason you sort of lost out today. It's a shame that you couldn't fight with Leopard. Did you feel like you had the pace at times?
Yeah, first of all, well done to him. He definitely deserved the win. His pace didn't make any mistakes or anything, so completely deserved, and his quality lap is pretty insane as well. For me, yeah, in the first stint, I kind of just underestimated just trying to save fuel, like in the first few laps, rather than just trying to stay in his DRS and kind of literally just got outside this DRS and couldn't quite bore it back in. Towards the end of the stint, I was struggling a little bit on tyres, and I was thinking about maybe doing an undercut. The mediums are so cold, I think I'd probably have lost out a little bit. And I was thinking of maybe going an extra lap, but then I think my tyres had just been done going into the pit. So I pitted at the same time as him, and yeah, unfortunately being first in the pit lane, got held for, I think I lost a lot of time. I don't know how much time I lost, but to be honest, I don't think it really would have made, I think he still would have won anyway. So yeah, a bit annoying, but then yeah, just trying to bring it home. Got a penalty midway through the race, so just had to try and manage to gap behind. And but yeah, consistency. Second, fourth, and second is consistent so far. So hopefully I can keep that up.
Absolutely, I was just going to come on to the consistency, which is obviously key, and we spoke about it in the past, but you say you just couldn't reel the gap back in after you were just trying to toy around that second margin. Was that just purely down to the dirty air? Because this circuit is quite poor on that sort of thing, isn't it?
I don't think I was really in his dirty air, to be fair to him. I think I just didn't want to waste fuel or anything, so I probably should have pushed the car a bit more than I should have done maybe next time. Actually just make sure I'm in this DRS for the first 3 laps rather than just fanning around with the fuel a little bit. So yeah, his pace was pretty insane. A bit annoyed because I think we're practicing before when the race got restarted. I was kind of practicing on the used tyres, but I nailed that in practice. So having fresh tyres, I don't think that really made a difference. But yeah, GG to him. In his first few laps, I could tell he was really pushing, and I should have just turned the car up as well. But yeah, just couldn't get quite back in after that.
Absolutely, and congratulations or commiserations on the P2. Move on to Holland in P3 today, and wow, I mean, we've seen you on an ILR podium before, we've seen you on the podium before, but I mean, this one must be pretty special because it wasn't easy for you today. You definitely had the fair share of pressure, but you just stayed absolutely to the limits without getting a penalty, and you'll be pretty happy with the 3rd place finish.
Yeah, I'm over the moon of it, to be honest. I was surprised I didn't get a penalty myself. Usually I'm the one getting all the penalties, but today I managed to not get any, which is the first.
And yeah, the race, the way it unfolded, you were constantly under pressure, or creating the pressure in front of you. So enjoyable battles, tough battles to come by.
Yeah, it's just fun to be at the top. Just to be in around the top 3 is just quite fun for once, rather than being in mid-pack all the time. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I mean, congratulations to you. Well, finally, I mean, I suppose, can we expect more podiums from you in the future? Is it something, I mean, somewhere obviously you'd love to be or like to be, but is it realistic that you're able to get more podiums over the course of the season?
I hope so, but I don't think so. I think that was my last strong track on the calendar, but I hope I prove myself wrong.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Andy?
Yeah, well, it was great to hear from the drivers. The championship really hotting up. And for the first time ever, we've actually decided to split the driver of the day. I thought Leopard today was unstoppable, no doubt about it. I thought he was going to win the race from the second lap. I initially tipped JD to win it, but then as it went unfolded in the first couple of laps, I thought, wow, Leopard's on it today. Holland as well. Superb drive to get onto the podium. No penalties, and as he said, usually he picks up a few. So we went for a joint driver of the day today. But yeah, plenty of action out there in the championship battle. Really hotting up. JD leads it by a point despite not winning a race yet. Incredible scenario we have in the championship. He hasn't even won a race in ILR at all yet. So will that moment come? I'm really looking forward to the championship battle. You know, it's a shame of how we've lost Joe now by the looks of it with his issue with his wheel, but yeah, looking forward to the upcoming races. But where do we head to next, folks? I'm forgetting, is it Austria maybe? I can't remember.
Austria, yes.
Yeah, we head to Austria next. So, okay folks, that rounds it off. We head to the Austrian Grand Prix, the Red Bull Ring, for round number 5 of this 11 race championship. The title race hotting up. Sierra, he'll be hoping to get back into it as well after a poor afternoon. But that's all from myself, that's all from James, and that's all from the 3 guys on the podium. Good night, we'll see you in Austria next week.